Hey, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
I am Joe.
And I'm Kristin.
And we are excited to present Buncee in the interactive class.
Yeah, so we're kind of together known as the Merrills. And we originally thought we'd do this webinar all about how Buncee helps make learning interactive, but we've tried to infuse as much as we can some ideas for using Buncee with remote learning to be, a little bit relevant to what's going on in the world today.
Yeah, to give you guys some background of who we are, I am a first grade teacher.
And I teach fourth grade.
And we are down in South Florida, and our district currently is closed. And so these ideas are ideas that we think will work in our classrooms and hopefully will work in yours. So let's dive right in. We're going to start by looking at some of the features that you can find right inside of Buncee.
So as you can see, there's lots of features that are available, but some of our favorite are a little bit more interactive than others. And so throughout the webinar, we're going to not only explain what the feature is, how you can use it both in the classroom and remotely.
So this feature is the animation feature, which I think is super cool.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, you can actually add stickers that move, and it creates this really interactive experience for the kids, and it really adds a different element to their presentations.
Yeah, so in Buncee, we're all about student creation. And even when you're working remotely, the idea is that once you've delivered content to your students, you want them to show you what they've learned. So in fourth grade, one of our standards is all about moon and the moon phases. So each of these is a different animation. The moon is one, the arrows are another. But if I ask my kids a simple question about what are the phases of the moon or what causes the moon to have phases, they could go in and find these animations and add some of the other interactive tools with it, like audio or drawing, and then they can then explain to me those phases rather than just answering a multiple choice question.
Yeah, and these are science concepts, but there's all kinds of goodies on there. Any social studies, writing, even math manipulatives are on there, which is super cool.
Yeah, we had a funny story about our son. He created the scene of a book using Buncee, The Secret Garden. And I won't go into the whole story, but you could create scenes from characters. You could go even other, what would the character's bedroom look like? Or if they had a job, what would it be? And all of those things are able to do in Buncee with the backgrounds and the stickers. The other feature we have, the other example is the water cycle, having them build those different elements to show you how a plant grows. I mean, there's so many different options you can choose from.
It's awesome. This feature is really awesome. This is actually a virtual reality scene where you can embed it directly into your Buncee. So it's a still image, but it actually provides this really unique immersive experience for the students that makes them think that they're actually there.
Yeah, so they have a 360 view. So on the feature board, it's actually like 360, and you can pick from all sorts of different places. I have a lot of fun with this with my reading when I have like a scene or a place that I don't really know if the kids know what it's like, and I want them to kind of feel like they're in there. You could do writing centers, like creative writing, drop them into a desert and say, hey, where are you? What's it like where you're at? Write a story about it or write a description writing. You can do field trips, virtual field trips, take the kids places because we know we're all stuck at home right now with remote learning. You can at least get out and look out.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was just thinking. What an awesome experience if you are experiencing a situation where you're working with remote learning, creating an activity like this where the kids have to go into this immersive experience and actually give them a different view of the world. How awesome would that be? And plus, it's really engaging.
Yeah, the kids love it.
Yeah.
So the next feature is the draw tool, or I kind of like to refer to it as like digital inking. But basically the kids have the ability to write on a Buncee and show knowledge that way. So we have a couple examples here. I think we picked math and science, but you could do this with anything. You can annotate text out of a book, maybe like a little book talk or a book snap, but in Buncee.
Yeah, so the example that you're looking at on the left with the circle map and the numbers, basically they're just trying to figure out different ways to make that number 6. What's really cool is if you get a little bit higher into your academics and as you progress in your grade levels, you can really think about how to break down those numbers using pictures and illustrations, and the kids can draw right in within their Buncee. Likewise for the bottom picture where they're trying to illustrate a different diagram of what the water cycle might look like. So it can be as in-depth as possible, or you can just keep it really simple.
Yeah, and what I like about the draw tool is you may give them the Buncee with some of the images on it, and then they have to use the draw tool to show their thinking. So maybe they're not creating the entire image, you're giving them that kind of template and then giving them directions on how to show their learning through it.
Microsoft has really stepped up the game to try to help educators and students alike. Their newest integration with Buncee is something that's really special.
This feature, Immersive Reader, is, in my opinion, what makes programs really accessible. And now that Buncee has Immersive Reader inside of it, it makes it a great tool for remote learning.
So all you need to do is look for that icon that's circled. Be careful because sometimes it can be small, but Buncee's done a good job of making sure you can't miss it. All you need to teach your students to do is to click that, and when they do, it takes them to a new screen that translates everything into a different language, or it even just reads it back to them. It makes it accessible for everyone.
You can even go as far as like looking at nouns and taking into sentence structure, but really it allows students to have something read to them in their native language or in English and making everything on the screen accessible. So what makes Immersive Reader special, in my opinion, is the fact that it translates. So during this time of remote learning, when the kids are in our classrooms and we have our way of doing things, that's one thing. But when the kids go home, it's kind of up to the adult that's there to help them navigate their way through these assignments. And lots of times, even though our children in school may speak a language, the adults at home do not. So what Immersive Reader will allow the parent to do is to get on and translate that slide or that presentation so that they understand what's going on and they can help their child, which we've just now made learning not only accessible to the kids, but also to their parents.
Right. It's important to include them because if they are in a situation, the student rather, if they're in a situation where they need some help working through an assignment, they can't ask the teacher if you're working remotely. So it's really important to be able to have this integrated within your Buncee, so that way your parents can then go back and see, what's the expectations and how to go about explaining it to them.
Yeah, and some of the other kind of app smashes we're getting ready to talk about will have this integration, and we can kind of share a little bit more on how you can use it to communicate with the parents in addition to the students.
Did you just say app smashing? Because
kind of.
That is my jam. App smashing is basically where you take something that you've created in one app and then you save it and upload it into another. Now you might be thinking like, whoa, this is like way over my head. But if you've ever attached a picture to an email, you've technically app smashed. So it's not as complicated as you're thinking. It's actually very simple. And there are tons of ways that you can app smash into Buncee and also out of Buncee.
Yeah, so some of the apps that we're going to talk about tonight include Wakelet and Nearpod, Seesaw, Flipgrid, and some Microsoft EDU applications like OneNote and Teams. And they're all just better together, right? That's a hashtag that's been kind of roaming around with remote learning. The apps are better together too. And so you're going to be able to see how you could do everything in Buncee, but you can also mix it up and kind of combine them to get a different kind of learning environment or lesson.
I think it's really, really important to note too that this is exceptionally important with remote learning because you can provide resources in all different types of platforms. And by having these all come together, it really does help out the educator in delivering their content.
Yeah, it's hard when we don't understand really what everyone has accessible to them. And, some districts have lots of tools accessible and some teachers are kind of bearing this on their own. And so this is a great way to kind of let people pick and choose what works best for them.
And something else to note too, these platforms are all free. Nearpod is actually offering a reduced cost. I think it's free while the school closures are going on. But everything else is actually free and you'll be able to use it and hopefully get familiar with it and use it in the future too.
Yeah.
Wakelet is a platform that allows educators and students both to curate different types of information all in one place. What makes this so special is that you can have a URL, you can have images, PDFs, videos, all kinds of different things, all embedded into one platform, which is pretty awesome. So how can you use this? Well, you can create some type of chat board where you're using it as like a learning hub for your content distribution, which makes just a really engaging experience for your students.
This is like one of my favorite ideas on how to use Buncee because you share the link of Wakelet with your parents, one link. And on that Wakelet, you could have a Buncee, you could have a YouTube video, you could have PDFs, you can use the shorts camera, and then go back like way back, we're dating ourselves, like when you went in college and you had to have like a message board. There's even a type tool on Wakelet so the kids could all respond to a question or video post, and all of that work is in one place.
So the kids can actually be contributing to it as well.
Yeah, and so you're giving them all their information for their learning in one place, but they can also show back what they're learning through that Wakelet. You can also do the reverse and put a Wakelet into a Buncee. So kind of that idea of like a hyperdoc where you have all of your lessons for the content area or the day or however you're doing it. And the kids click on these links and these links take them to different places. Well, one of those links could be a Wakelet. So maybe you've curated a bunch of articles and a bunch of different things all on your science topic. Well, on your Buncee slide where you're talking about science, all I do is click it. That Wakelet opens up into a new window and they have all of that information for them to use. So you can kind of use it either way.
Yeah. One of my favorite ways to use Buncee and Wakelet together is what you're looking at right here. I think this is perfect for the remote learning setting. If you use what's called a Buncee Board, which we actually didn't talk about, but Buncee Boards are basically where you can create different Buncees and put them together. Think of it almost like a real bulletin board.
Like a Pinterest, like all the images, and you can either create the Buncees and put all of them in one place, or the kids can submit their Buncees to the Buncee Board and have everything all in one place with an easy shareable link.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking about for this is if you're in a remote learning situation, you can create like week 1, week 2, week 3, create your lessons that way on a Buncee Board.
You're very advantageous, maybe like day 1, day
well,
2,
you know what I mean.
In my head.
But then you can share that link and then upload that embed that rather into a Wakelet collection. And then you'll be able to have each one of those weeks or days ready for your students in the remote learning situation. So you just share out one link with your parents and there they go. That is your learning hub right then and there.
And both platforms have Immersive Reader.
Right.
So just got to say, and something we're going to be talking over and over again too, this idea of linking. Something really special about Buncee is when you share a link to a Buncee, it doesn't change. So you can share out that link with parents and just keep updating those boards like you're saying, whether it's by days or by weeks. And then it's the same link for parents, so they don't have to keep having new places. And that's really, really important, to know for remote learning.
Next up, we have the Buncee and Nearpod app smash. This is great because if you're not familiar with Nearpod is basically, it's a presentation tool. So educators can upload presentations and then they send out a code and the kids log on with this code.
In real time, if you want.
Well, I haven't gotten there yet.
I get so excited. Okay.
So what the kids do is they log on with this code and you have two options. You can do it where it's a live code. In other words, everybody in the class logs in at the same time. And when you do that, the educator has complete control of the presentation in that time. So let's say you have 10 students remotely logging into your code at the same time. You can flip through as the educator, slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. And as you do that, all of the presentations on all the devices will move together. So it's like you're actually in the class, even though you're not in the class. So now here's where Buncee comes into that. Because if you create your presentation in Buncee, you can create just as an immersive experience as you would any place else. And then the kids have all those Buncee features right then and there with Nearpod.
Yeah, and you can also kind of integrate it as you're talking. My brain is already thinking, and I'm like, well, you could also be doing live videos somewhere and doing this Nearpod Buncee integration so the kids can watch you in real time or hear you in real time as you're clicking through. Or if you just do the remote kind of login where the kids can log in at their own time, which...
That's called student pace.
Yeah, the student pace might be better for remote learning because you can also add in audio features in both Nearpod and Buncee so that when they log in on their own pace, they can hear, all the kinds of teaching and things that you'd want to say. But then you can kind of combine the features, get the data analysis from the Nearpod, plus the interactive features on the Buncee, and they kind of just work, they kind of mesh well together.
Yeah, and here's a pro tip. Immersive Reader is already in Buncee, but Immersive Reader is also a Nearpod. The only thing is you have to toggle it in your settings. So just do a quick Google search and you can find that easily. But when you do that, then you'll have a complete experience there where your students have accessibility to all of the assignments.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And really, guys, the idea of this too goes far beyond the classroom. This ability to share things and translate it allows you to share globally. Maybe you just hook up with another teacher that's looking for resources. You teach the same grade. You could share things and not have to worry about languages because it could be shared out with Immersive Reader.
Right.
So this next integration is probably one of our favorites because it combines like peanut butter and jelly. Combines our two favorite apps. So Buncee and Flipgrid. So there's a couple different ways you can use this. The first one is that the teacher can make a Buncee, create content that's engaging, add those links in, add those wakelets, make those hyperdocs, however you're doing it. And then you can share with your students as a featured topic. So when you go in, you can see on the graphic, instead of a GIF or an emoji, you add the Buncee right there. So it makes it super simple. The kids click and then it takes them out into the Buncee. And you'll see when you do it, once you click that, it'll show like a little icon to let you know that it's been uploaded and ready to go. But this puts the Buncee kind of like right up in the very front of the topic.
Yeah, like that like sticker part of the topic. What's cool to note about this though, and we've talked through this a couple times, that URL, again, does not change. So if you posted that and then uploaded it to Flipgrid, and then let's say day 2 you come back and you've maybe updated your Buncee, your students can revisit that and the URL is not changed. So it should automatically update.
Touche, Mr. Rowell. That's a good one. All right, now, this is another way that you can use Buncee and Flipgrid, and personally, this one's my favorite. People do not realize, I don't know how, but I do know how because I didn't realize it at first, that when you submit a video, whether it's a topic whether you are replying or responding to someone, like anytime you add a video, you can add a link. Like, what? Okay, so maybe as a teacher, I give out a link. I just did this on a Wonderopolis topic I want the kids to read and respond to. But maybe I add to that and I add like a creation on top of that. So Mr. Merrill, do you know where I'm going with this?
I think I do.
Okay, so when the students respond back to my, hey, did you read the article? What'd you learn? What could they add to their response?
Maybe a Buncee?
Buncee Link. So maybe they go in and create their own Buncee. They answer whatever question or task you have, and they upload it. And when their video shoots up in the top right-hand corner is this little like link or image, icon. And you click it, boom, and there's their projects. So now not only do you get to see their creation, but so do the entire class.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Speaking of awesome, have you seen the OneNote and Buncee live embed?
This is pretty cool.
The reason why this is so cool is because when we say live embed, we mean that all of the animations, everything is there. So it's not just a still image that you see, but when you embed all of your Buncees into OneNote, you'll actually see the moving stickers, all those animations that we talked about, they'll actually be moving together. So your class could actually have all of their Buncees submitted onto one OneNote page and have everything in front of them so they can see all the creativity going on in your classroom.
I'm thinking of it just like as a teacher. Again, with remote learning, we're trying to use platforms that our kids are already familiar with. So if your kids are already working in your OneNote and they already have their OneNote notebooks and that's their familiar way of working, then by dropping this in, you can distribute it to everyone at the same time. You can also put it into that shared space and maybe have something creative where the kids then live ink or they talk right in that infinite canvas about whatever that Buncee was, kind of giving it like a virtual chat message response board, but it's in the OneNote notebooks that they're already used to using.
Yeah, it's totally awesome. Even more awesomeness from Microsoft is the Buncee and Teams integration. The way that this works is you can actually create tabs and different items right onto your Teams, and then you can have everything right in one place, almost like a learning hub.
Yeah, I really like this because I teach 4th grade, and obviously you teach even littler than I do. And clicking and finding, it becomes distracting. It can waste time. So being able to create a Buncee, drop it in that tab, and that's what these images show you. It's really simple. You add a tab, you find Buncee, you just put the link, the URL to the Buncee that you want in, and then when it integrates into Teams, that last image on the webinar here is when they click it, whoo! It takes up their whole screen in Teams. They don't have to go anywhere else. It's nice and big. All of the things work. And at the bottom, you can even see like the little tiles. They can see what they're going to be doing. It's all right there. When you're done, if you want, you can take it out of your tabs and move on. Or like Mr. Merrill was saying, the links don't change. So you could add a couple of pages and then every day come and add new things to that Buncee, but it's all right there, direct front and center in Teams.
Right, or if your students need to make revisions to the assignments that they've created in Buncee, that URL doesn't change again. So all you have to say is, hey, go back and edit this. They go back and edit it, done.
Yeah. So this embed in Teams is nice because of how it formats it for the kids. So let's start thinking specifically of how we could use it. With remote learning, we are probably going to be delivering a lot more of the content than students are creating, and that's okay. This is a completely different realm of teaching. But think of how are we going to want to deliver the content, and then what are we going to want to deliver? Like Mr. Merrill was saying on that in the last slide about how the link doesn't change. Put a math problem of the day in just one slide where the kids can, solve and do whatever. But then the next day, just add the next problem and the next.
Or duplicate the slide.
Yeah, so then you're not having to create it all at once because that's a lot of work as a teacher. You're also able to kind of see how the kids did with it before you move on, and you can just keep adding to the same place. Same thing with the anchor charts. I was thinking okay, I'm a writing teacher. How am I going to teach writing virtually? There's so much that the kids use in addition to what they hear from me. And I thought, well, this would be really cool. I could say, go into our writing anchor chart and, I might be working on a different platform. I'm actually going to work in Teams. But go to the Buncee tab, look at our anchor charts for writing, and use those to help you. And I can create the anchor charts, whether it's transition words or how to write good openings, things like that. But then the kids can just go refer to them. And as we go into our writing lessons and keep moving, I just keep adding slides into my Buncee. And heck, then I'm going to have an entire Buncee on writing integrations that I could use, anytime in the year, not just for remote learning.
You can reuse them later. Love it.
Yeah.
Another great app smash is the Buncee and Seesaw app smash. If you're not familiar with Seesaw, Seesaw is a digital portfolio that you can easily share content and information with your parents with. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, so we have to say that a lot of the integrations that we like from Seesaw is that authentic audience. Mm-hmm. And with the remote learning, obviously we're all going to be authentic audiences and we're sharing everything. But in your classroom setting, this is a great place to just share things with parents. On some of these platforms, they're not able to go in and see what the kids are doing. And so the ability to share with them all in one place through an email is really beneficial, especially with remote learning.
Right. Even if you were an educator who was trying to assign your students something, you would use this same process. So this works for both educators and students. You create your Buncee, and then you go to the share option, and then you copy the URL, and then you just go to where you see on Seesaw where the link is, paste that link, and boom. It's literally like 3 clicks.
It's really simple.
Yeah, it's super simple. And then what that does is it shares it not only to one another, but more importantly, your families at home.
Another way that you can use the link feature with Seesaw is a little bit more embedded. So within Seesaw, you can create your own activities where the kids can annotate and they can video and they can add audio. It's awesome. It's all about student creation. Well, one of the features you can do is you can add in a link. So sometimes you can add in a link to a Seesaw activity. But what if you added a link into your Buncee? Mm-hmm. And the kids walked through your Buncee, they did all their learning through your Buncee, they went out externally through however you set it up, and they come back in Seesaw and they put in their reflections or create something based on how you set up your assignment. You really have total control over it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we can't stress this enough. When you're working with Buncee, especially when it comes to remote learning, the biggest takeaway that we hope that you get from this is that your URL is not going to change. So we're saving you some time by doing this. All you have to do is update your Buncee as you go along, and then that will constantly be pushed out to your students and your audience. So it's really important, even if you're a student, that your students are making sure that they keep them updated, because it's never going to change.
Yeah, and I like the idea of we always try to plan lessons based on the end goal rather than just creating something. So the idea of okay, am I going to create a platform by my subject areas? Am I going to create them by the weeks? You have to kind of do that planning ahead of time. But the ways you can use it, if you're going subject area, you could create a vocabulary book where they have to look for words they don't know out in the world and define them and do some kind of activity each week, or maybe a word wall where there are words I don't know and all different letters, and they put the words in with the letters. You can even do it together or separate. Student portfolios, that's more of an idea, not so much remote learning, but more so just throughout the year, because that link doesn't change. So you can give parents access to that link at the beginning of the year. The kids continue to work and add their works that they are proud of into that Buncee, and parents can kind of just slip in and out and check in on it. Kind of like remote student-led conferencing, which actually, if you're going to be remote learning for a long time, you could even almost do it that way, curating your work and your ideas while you're out remotely. And then writing centers, we talked about the anchor charts, or just doing creative writing. I did a center that was all about poetry, and so I'd give them a poem on Monday, and then every day there'd be another slide of something they had to do with that poem that you could do. And then you could do that for math, problem of the day, science experiments, all sorts of stuff.
I think it's just important to make sure that your students know that just because the Buncee looks the same one day, it may not be the same the next day. So it's important that they're very careful and look through it all.
Kind of keep them on their toes.
Yeah. So check out this awesome feature. This was an idea from Jamie Donnelly, so kudos to her. Check her out on Twitter. If you take a YouTube video, you can share the link and import it directly into your Buncee. So you could actually embed a live lesson from YouTube right into your Buncee.
So they can use the Buncee link to get onto the Buncee. The YouTube link's already embedded, and we're talking now, they'd be able to watch you talk live.
Yeah, and so this brings us to
new feature.
A new feature. Yeah, so in Buncee, hopefully by the time that you're seeing this, there's a new feature that's rolling out, and if it's not, it's coming soon.
I think it's going to be actually out before this webinar, but we love to spill secrets. So if not, secret spoiled.
It's her fault. The ability to have a comment on Buncee has actually already been there, but level up. This is the new feature. You're going to be able to comment back and forth, providing even more collaboration on slides.
Directly on the slide. So pretend I don't know how to remember it this way. We are live on YouTube, and on this part of our Buncee, you could have a live chat. Now remember the whole idea of links not leaving?
Yes.
Mind blown. So now I could do a live lesson with my kids in Buncee. They can chat along the side one nice thing about YouTube Live is when you're done, it keeps that video. So then open up a new slide on Buncee. And now I'm curating my videos every day in one place where the kids can comment and work. You can put activities and stuff in between, all in the same link. Never change. So hey parents, check out our live instruction every day. Boom, here's the link, and it's good for as much as you want. Totally crazy. So speaking of totally crazy, we're done. We've already flown through all of these ideas. I think we're just so excited about how great Buncee is.
Yeah. So if you have any other questions about anything that we talked about, please reach out to us on social media. We're learning from you guys as much as you're hopefully taking away from this.
Yeah, and just a little plug, we do have a book out. It's called the InterACTIVE class, and Buncee is one of the apps highlighted in there. We have tons of lessons and a tutorial page that just kind of walks you through the very basic features. So if you feel like we went a little too fast, or if you're just looking for more ideas on how to use Buncee, we have to say check it out. Flipgrid's in there, Seesaw's in there. A lot of these other apps that we talked about are also in there, and it's turning out to be a great resource for remote learning.
Yeah, it kind of came at a pretty good time, actually, ironically and unfortunately. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're at themerrills.edu on all social media outlets or on our website at www.themerrills.edu.com. And we have a contact submission form on there that you can send us an email.